Welcome back to the regular podcast. Is anything but Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, a sequel that's been in development for 2 years now, has finally come out. With the tragic passing of Chadwick Boseman, this movie was dealt a bad hand, but it's finally out. So we're here to talk about it here on the regular podcast. Initial thoughts, starting it off. What you guys think of the movie coming out of it?
I thought
Coming
it
out
was
of
really
it,
good. I thought it was really good.
coming out of it, this movie I thought was great, but after some nice reflection, um, this movie's okay.
Mm,
Mm-hmm.
right. Now
That's
coming out
my
of it,
initial
coming
thought.
out of it, I thought it was really good. But in my mind, I couldn't. I was thinking like, is this better than Spider-Man: No Way Home? And I had to think about it because it was a really good movie, but I don't feel like it gave me that same oomph
Mm-hmm.
that No Way Home did, in terms of like excitement and hype.
I can see that. When I first came out of it, I was like, I like that. I really, really, really like that. But after the next day rolled around, I was like, I love this. I I gotta say, I love Wakanda Forever. Now, I wouldn't say I loved it better than the first film, but honestly, I really love this movie. But let's move right into the story, guys. They had an impossible task to make this movie anyway. So the story, I mean, I can't really make much of the story, to be honest with you.
I mean, to
I
be
It,
think
honest,
the
it's a very
story
simple
is
story.
it's
mediocre.
It's a
I
very
think the
simple
story is
story.
mediocre. It's
It's not
another.
mediocre. It's just simple.
yeah, I don't think it's
That's what I'm
mediocre.
saying.
I
Mediocre.
don't think it's mediocre. No,
I think the fact that it's generic and the fact that it's just another Marvel formula is what really holds it back.
generic.
But in terms of the content, you have to think about the context of
I
it
know.
being
I'm thinking
Wakanda.
about the
I
context.
I never thought of the story being generic.
With both sides of these characters, we have Wakanda with Shuri and then Talokan with Namor. Both of them kind of just like want to hurt the world. Resonating with that as a black person, I feel like you can understand the story more. I'm not saying you can't understand the story, but I feel like it hits harder, if you know what I'm saying.
I
Yeah,
can
that's
see
why
that.
Black Panther is so popular because it resonates with a
Yeah,
lot of
it
black people
resonates with
around the
black people.
world. But
I can see that, but also Davis himself can resonate with it. He can't
it
like
still
resonate with it
doesn't
on a personal level,
excuse
but like he can
bad
still
writing.
Bad writing.
bad writing.
This
This
movie is
movie
not
is
written
the
very
one.
well.
How?
This movie is the one movie in Phase 4 since what I have to say, Avengers Endgame, that I found to be well written. That's just
See,
me.
what I thought what I think about this movie as a whole is that it's one of those beginning and end things. The beginning is amazing and the end is amazing, but everything in between is just kind of thrown in there.
Well,
I don't like Namor really. His
Mm,
character is stupid. Um, he has no goal. He has no drive other than protect my people, and he just acts like a dick bag for no reason.
uh, blood. What are you talking about?
like,
Okay,
do you hear
wait.
yourself?
Let's jump to name. Let's jump to Namor real quick.
So
Namor
you're
is a
saying
king
Namor is a
protecting
boring
his
character.
kingdom.
Yes.
That's exactly what T'Challa was though.
Mhm.
Like that's what made T'Challa so interesting was the fact that he
Namor
was
is
a
a
king
person
trying to
who is
protect his
so worried
kingdom
about his people being hunted
that he's
and
willing
destroyed
to
because he
wage
knows that's
war.
what's gonna happen. Look at the American, not even the Americans. Look at the rest of the world it's just Wakanda. As soon as their king died, they try and take advantage and launch attacks on it and steal the
Yep.
vibranium. Now, what if they learn that there's an even more powerful civilization under the water the whole time? Namor knows that.
I mean,
Eventually, even if
even
you make
even with
peace,
that
they're gonna
knowledge,
come for you.
even with that knowledge, the what are they called? Talakanians or whatever. They're not even shown as that powerful in this movie, especially when they show the underwater scenes. The showing the city, they look like the most small, tiny town underwater I've ever seen. Aquaman did it way better.
Aquaman may have done the scenery better,
But
but
still, you can't sit here and like
the
Namor is a
the
bad character. Namor is one of the best villains that we've gotten in Marvel.
Oh,
He's up there
and
with Killmonger.
Jesus.
and I wouldn't even call him a villain. I would just call him an antagonist.
Antagonist.
But the Talocosians, I would just call them Telosians. The
Teloshi.
Telosians, Yeah, I would call them
Talcanians.
that. The Telosians,
People of Talokan.
they're pretty
Excuse me.
powerful, bro. Like, yeah, Okoye may have gotten rid of like the weak of
They
the
may
link.
be pretty powerful, but like that is not expressed in the movie enough.
Yes, it is.
It
They
is most
literally
definitely
almost
not.
lay waste to Wakanda.
They barely did anything to
The
Wakanda. They
Dora
walked
Milaje,
in,
which
They
we've
killed
flooded
her, and
Wakanda
walked
the
out.
Dora Milaje, which have been set up to be some of the best fighters in this Marvel
in the
universe,
world.
easily get folded by by a small squad of them.
I know that. I'm saying that when it comes to the bigger picture, they are not shown as powerful as they should be. When it comes to talking about them as a whole being powerful, being this extremely powerful, unknown, what'd you call it, society, and then going through their world and looking through the eyes of Shuri experiencing it the first time, they just don't look like what they're portrayed as when they fight. It's just two completely different things that don't make
Well,
sense to me.
well, it's two completely different things because you're looking at fighters that are fighting Wakandans, and then inside of that scene, you're looking at civilians. Those are civilian Telosians just swimming around in their land. I mean, not land, but you know what I mean, in their city.
Sure.
Like you're comparing apples to oranges. This is armies. These are soldiers compared to civilians.
Where were the
Compare that
soldiers,
to the
bro?
compare that to the Wakandans that's just walking around Wakanda to the Dora Milaje or to the Jabari tribe.
I
Obviously,
think
they're gonna look more powerful than the Wakandans that's just living life.
I think Namor. It's safe to say Namor is one of the best villains to face for it. In argument for the best, because he's not even a villain, and that
Jesus.
is when you get the best villain. Everything Namor does, I wasn't completely against it. I was like, I understand what he's doing.
Yep,
He's looking out for
I
his
agree.
people. And if you think about it, while he didn't even really kidnap Shuri. Like, it would have been simple. He's like, hey, we want this scientist. I'm gonna give you all the chance to bring her to me. All I gotta do is get rid of her, and then my people are safe, your people are safe. He was reasonable, and then he invited Shuri. He
Look,
didn't treat her as a captive. He gave her his mom's bracelet, put her in some clothes, showed her around his city. Namor ultimately is a person just trying to look out for his people, and I really love his character, Tenet Huerta. Beautiful portrayal of Namor, and to say he's a boring character
Sure.
or a bad character, that's frankly just cap.
I mean, this is my opinion, but
And I'm
I mean,
safe to
just
say your
overall,
opinion is wrong.
he's not a good villain at all. He's boring. He's bland.
I
uh,
but I like how his portrayal was that
I
he
think
was
the
so
person who portrayed
menacing.
him was good, but the character itself is just flawed. I like
What
the
I liked
actor.
was that he was so menacing in a sense that he could like turn in an instant. Like there was one scene where where Shuri was saying that she couldn't go to his city. She would love to see his city, but he was like, if I take you down there, like your head would explode or something like that, and like you will burn from the inside out or something. And then he was like, or I could just give you a suit. That right there
he
was
was
actually pretty
charismatic. He was
interesting.
funny. He was
That's what I'm
funny
saying.
when he
Like
needed to
that was
be, and then he could
I,
portray a ruthless leader when he needed to.
exactly, and I
I didn't
really
really get
like
that
that
from him
because
at
it
all.
I really like that because of the fact that he's just a king trying to protect his kingdom. Like that's what T'Challa did. This is exactly why I love T'Challa because his whole arc, his whole character is a king struggling between being the hero, the savior of his land, and the king, the diplomat. I love that.
Yeah.
That was so interesting to me with Namor,
No
and
point in
especially
time
with
did
his
I think Namor
backstory.
was inherently evil. Like
All of it
he's
fell right
seen
along the lines of
the
what we've known
cruelty
from the
of the
first movie.
world.
Yep.
I think,
Whereas the first movie was about African Americans, this one is more about Mexican Americans.
yeah,
Is
Mayan
it's just that
Americans
simple.
basically just
My
Spanish
Americans, yeah,
colonization and the effect that basically destroyed and almost destroyed an entire culture.
exactly.
So it's
And in
reasonable
fact,
why Namor would be not playing no games. Like he
and in
knows they
fact,
will hurt his
guys,
people.
like behind the scenes, they couldn't find any Mayan music. It was wiped away. They couldn't find any instruments for Namor's character. They found how the way he looks and stuff like that, but they couldn't find any music because it's been wiped from our history, and that's something I didn't even know. I never knew that. So I love the fact that they changed Namor's character from what he was in the comics, which I'm pretty sure he was cool in the comics, but they made me interested actually in Namor. I always saw him as the Aquaman variant, even though Namor came first. I saw him as the Aquaman variant, even though his world is not as big or as grander than Atlantis. Namor is an interesting character to me. I can't wait to see
And
more of
even
him.
at the end of the
Honestly,
movie, the only reason he makes peace with Wakanda is because he knows it will
Show
put
me some
Talokan in a
ass.
better situation.
yep. It, all for his kingdom, man. I love Namor. But let's go back up here. Shuri, the Black Panther legacy, and Chadwick Boseman. What did you guys think of Shuri
Shuri,
being put in front and center?
I
I
think
will start
Shuri
off
was
by
better.
saying I really did like how she wasn't immediately when she came back and she's like, all right, let's do the good thing, let's do the right thing. No, she's like Killmonger. And I really
Yeah,
love how they were so similar, even down to the fact that her suit was based off him. As soon as she get the power, she's like, "All right, I got my powers. No, I'm gonna kill him." Like this is from
mhm.
a person who literally just watched their mom drown before her eyes. No, I really like how they did portray Shuri as having that anger, and I feel like again, like as a black person, that's anger. You can relate to that. Like it's some you can see how frustrated and how she wants to take it out in the world. I will say it like we were predicting before the movie came out. It is kind of strange how she just becomes like a very agile fighter when this is never what Shuri was shown to be as. But I think it
I
was
agree.
handled well
Yep.
Yeah,
for the most
Except
part.
for
I
that
bro,
did like
suit.
Shuri.
Letitia Wright, man. I I don't know any of her other work besides Black Panther. I thought she was okay. As Shuri, I thought she was okay. I never really hated her. I never really loved her, but I really liked her. I loved her in this movie, bro. I gotta say it. Shuri in this movie was great. They used her as a way to display the 5 stages of grief, which I'm not coming up with this by myself. I've heard this from multiple people before I even came up with it. So, but it's true. They use her as the 5 stages of grief. We see her go through the 5 stages of grief inside of this film. And I love the fact that she's in the beginning of the movie, she's praying to Bast, but we've known her as a character who always cared about technology instead of culture. And then when she needs Bast in their time of need of her brother dying and her prayers aren't answered, she just goes and
She
deep
becomes
dives deep
skeptical.
into her technology. Exactly, she becomes skeptical, and that's what anybody would do. I'm pretty sure we've all done this before, that we've prayed to a higher being, and when it didn't go our way, we become skeptical of that higher being.
Right.
I love the fact it just made it real to me. And then the fact that she's like that throughout the entire movie, but also at the end, she has a struggle with, do I really want vengeance? Will I let vengeance consume me like T'Challa did in Civil War? Or should I be like my brother? And I like the fact that it's not just she's gonna be like T'Challa. It's not like she's gonna be like Killmonger. She's a little bit of both. I
Right.
think that's interesting, man. That's an interesting arc. And and honestly, I wouldn't say it's a better arc than T'Challa. It's probably a better arc than T'Challa in the first movie. In Civil War, his arc's better. But I like this arc of Shuri in this movie. I really do.
Yeah.
It's very reminiscent of Civil War, but that's why I love it.
Okay. I thought
Um,
I liked Shuri in this movie. That's what I can say.
Now, do I wish that they would have never like showed her just expertly fighting Namor? Yeah, because that's my one fear. I was like, well, I didn't want them to do that. I didn't want them to just say, well, Shuri can fight now. Shuri's not a fighter. Her place is in the lab. T'Challa trained for his whole life to fight. Shuri didn't. But
I
that's
really like I really like Shuri a lot more in this movie than the first one. The first one I didn't dislike her, but she was just kind of there. I just didn't really pay that much attention to her. In this movie, she is way better, but you can really tell that this movie was not meant for her. Her demeanor is just completely swapped. Um, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. But you can really tell that they probably should have just gone with a full script rewrite instead of
They did.
a tweaks. No, they didn't. Um,
Yes, they did.
no, Namor was gonna be the villain from the beginning.
Well, yeah. The
yeah,
entire
that's
script had to be changed because Chadwick died.
Yeah, but not
Namor was gonna
everything
be the
was
villain
changed.
since 2018, bro.
I'm sure they kept uh a few plot points and a few I don't even know what to call it. I don't know, character changes that were meant for him instead of her. But anyways, yeah, I think Shuri is a lot better in this movie. But yeah, I really don't understand how she's a freaking acrobat out of nowhere. I don't know where she got those skills from. Um,
So
and
weird.
also her suit is dog water. That's pretty much all I have to say about her.
You think her suit's dog water?
I think it's trash. It looks bad. Her body shape is like not right for it, and also, well, the design itself, I guess it's fine. It's just a Black Panther suit, but it like the way it's shaped around her, it just doesn't look right.
Uh, but
Right.
you gotta agree though, when they first showed her in the Black Panther suit, that was hype.
Yeah,
In my
that was cool.
opinion, I thought that was hype. That made me emotional.
So I think she looks better without the helmet on than she does with it on.
I like her with the helmet on. But
Eh.
I gotta say, bro, when M'Baku held her hand up and said the Black Panther lives, that made me emotional, bro. Because that was him telling the audience, that was Ryan Coogler telling the audience, look, T'Challa's not here with us. Chadwick Boseman's not here with us, obviously. But the Black Panther still lives. And it may not be the character that you want it to be, but the Black Panther still lives in Shuri, and I thought that was beautiful, bro. That they did a phenomenal job with hyping that whole reveal up. At, obviously we knew it was going to be her, but hyping that whole reveal up and having it be Shuri was, I thought, great moment, bro. Great moment with the music swelling, everyone putting their hand on her because it's like we finally have our protector now after a year. I loved it. I loved it all. But the legacy of Chadwick Boseman is in this movie. The presence of him is in this movie, and you feel that. I think they did a very good job of right roping in his tragic passing and tying it into his character of T'Challa inside of the movie. Whereas we don't know how he died, but the fact that he does die, you feel it. You feel it in all the characters, and that's what the story's about. It's about how a country and its people can move on with the death of their king.
Right.
Interesting, interesting, powerful stuff, bro. I'm just saying, powerful stuff, in my opinion.
So
Okay.
I had a question, and I want to see if you guys could like help me understand it.
Mm-hmm.
So at first, when Namor first meets his Shuri and the Queen, and tells them to go find the scientist that created the machine for him, so that he doesn't expose his people to I guess going out to find themselves, and because he thinks Wakanda has a obligation to do it. I I just can't get around my head. So they went to go get Riri, and as they were leaving with her, um they were chased by the police and all that. And then on the bridge, I just don't understand why the Talakanians came out onto the bridge. Doesn't really make sense, because isn't the whole point to not expose his society to the world, but then he goes ahead and makes them expose themselves to the world,
Well,
and then
they killed all the
Their objective
miraculously
was
witnesses.
to kill
They
the
killed the
scientists.
witnesses.
Yeah,
and then miraculously no one shows up, so they're not seen at all, which makes no sense.
They literally had a line
um
in the movie about how there was no witnesses.
I mean, yeah, but that's just twisting the plot
How
to
was
the
that
way they
twisting the
want it.
plot? If you're a
no, we
Namor,
literally seen them
you
kill.
don't want your people to be seen, right? Wouldn't you instruct your people to make sure there's no witnesses?
I mean, yes, but still, where were the cops at though?
The cops were on the bridge and
Dad,
they
no
got killed.
witnesses.
So you're telling me that it would just be, there was only two cop cars with
Most
them,
definitely more than
and then there
two.
was way more than that, but only two cars were destroyed. Where were the rest?
Bro, what are you talking about?
Do you
Yo,
not remember the scene? They
Do you
drove
not know
through
how
two
many
cop
cop cars?
cars,
It was a
blew
whole
them up.
blockade. There
Yeah,
was
it was
like
a whole
five on the
blockade.
edge of the bridge, and then how many chasing them?
There was two on the end of the bridge. They blew them up, and then the other cop cars disappeared.
All right, bro.
Bro, my response to that is they came to kill the scientists.
Yeah, but like
Riri
they
was who
came to
they
kill the
wanted.
scientist. They came to kill the scientist, even though they asked Wakanda to do it, and they didn't even know
Because
that
they
Wakanda had
Wakanda
refused it.
refused.
They didn't know that.
Pretty sure it's Namor. He can
I
infer
oh,
that she
you could
wasn't
just
gonna do
know.
it.
So
I
then
mean,
why
he's
would he
not
ask in the
dumb. Does
first
Namor look
place?
like a dumb person? Because he's being courteous to Wakanda. He took care of it for him, and he wants a favor. Namor's whole goal in the end is to ally with Wakanda. So why let them
Now you're
know
just
like, hey,
confusing me.
what? What's
No,
confusing about it?
this legit what happened at the end.
So you're saying that he just has the ability to know that they refused without them directly telling him no, they
I mean, when he
refused.
was on the beach, did it seem like they accepted?
Did it seem like they said no?
Yes.
No, they didn't say no.
All
They didn't
right,
say
bro.
yes. They didn't say
I
anything.
have a strong feeling that you are just chatting.
Okay, you can shut
Yeah,
that up.
I bro, what you guys think of Riri, man?
I
New
really like
character.
Riri.
What do you guys think of Riri?
Horrible.
Riri was amazing character.
No, I'm joking.
She was
Um,
funny. She was charismatic. She held her
God.
own. I really like Riri, and I didn't expect her to. Like hearing about Ironheart, all of this, I was like, all right, but
Yeah,
who cares about Riri Williams? And it's another Iron Man clone. But no,
facts.
I really
Facts.
loved
Yeah.
Riri in this movie.
She
I
was great.
I think Riri's existence is completely fine, and I think she's a cool character by herself. But let's be honest, you could have replaced her with any other character. You could have made a brand new character and made that be the scientist. Not a single thing would have changed.
I mean, Riri is a brand new
Well,
character. What's the point of making an
I mean,
entirely new
no, I mean
character
like a
from the
brand new
comics?
character, or it could have been a
but
completely
How is that
different
any different?
character.
Did you know anything about Riri Williams beforehand?
Yes,
Yeah,
but
okay.
I like the fact that it's Riri Williams because number one, we have a show for her coming out next year, and also she's at MIT.
so
She's
you're
the
saying her
smartest person
entire
to build a.
existence.
She built a machine that detects vibranium in the ocean.
And she didn't
What
even know
rant
it works
you
because they
would?
stole her machine.
That's what I'm saying. You would have you would have to make up a new character that can do that that goes to
Yes,
MIT when
yes.
you already have a character that you're making a TV show for next year.
I mean, that's the reason why she was put in the movie, so that they could have her to lead into her show.
Yeah, but
It's
why make a new
marketing.
character when you already have a character here that's already made that
I
you can
didn't
do
say
that
they
with?
had to. I'm
Riri
just saying
Williams
that
is
they could have.
essentially a brand new character.
Like that is her entire existence in this is just to be there.
Yeah, to be introduced.
Yeah,
But her device is what sets the plot in motion.
except
She
it
is
could have
what
been a different
she is
person.
what
It could have been a team of scientists. It could have been the freaking U.S. government. It could have literally been anyone. It didn't have to be Ironheart.
But why does it have to be U.S. government? How would that make the plot any different?
Exact. That's what I'm saying. It doesn't change the plot,
But I don't get like people comment like,
regardless of
why did
who it
Riri
was.
didn't have to be made? Like what?
She
None
didn't
of
have
them
to be in the
had to do
movie.
anything, but she was incorporated into the movie well. It's not like she was just sticking out like a sore thumb. It was like, oh, why did they
like
put
she
I
Riri
didn't say
like
that
that's what
though.
I'm saying. Like she was used in a way that I really like. Like she was
sure
funny when
it
she
could
needed to
have
be.
been a
She was
new
serious when she
character
needed
and
to
like
be.
the movie could have
Like
been a lot of things,
I
but
mean,
it wasn't.
anytime when you're saying the question could is it's always yes, yeah, you could do that, but they didn't.
They did Riri Williams and they did her well.
But I was just saying that it could have been any other
Yeah, it
person.
could have. It's a
That's
hypothetical,
that's how I think of her in this movie. She
but
doesn't
it's
really
not.
have that
And we're
much of a
talking about
place. She
what
doesn't really
was
do
in the
much.
movie.
She
What do
doesn't
you mean she
really do
doesn't do
much.
much?
Yeah,
She sets the plot in motion.
no, not really.
Well, okay,
All right.
okay, okay, bro. Okay, nah, bro. I think one of my nitpicks with Riri before we move on is that she's the smartest character. She's one of the smartest characters in the world. She built this machine that can detect vibranium in the ocean. I think the CIA would immediately, the government would immediately be on her tail for that. I think if anybody makes a device like that, she would be under occupation. easily. The
I mean,
moment
what they
that
did was
machine gets
smart
out.
too. They basically told her that her machine didn't work. They lied to her and then stole it. She didn't think of it. She didn't even know it worked. So
One
I
thing
thought
I
that was
really liked
incorporated
about
well.
her though was that they did incorporate a little bit of her backstory from the comics. Because in the comics, she deliberately tries to get her teacher to give her a task that her teacher thinks she can't do, so that she can do it and blow her mind that she can. And I don't remember what the line was, but she said like, my teacher said I couldn't do it, so I built it, and that's like directly from the comics. So I thought that was cool.
Mm.
Right.
I remember that line, actually. Honestly, I remember that line. But let's move into the third act here, because I think the first act was great. Second act was a little bit muddled. Third act, let's get right into it. What you guys think of the final fight? Better than
I'm
the
not
first
gonna
movie?
lie. I'm not gonna lie. I thought it was cool, but there's just so many things piled together that I didn't like. The CGI was barely better than the first movie.
Hmm.
Um, I still don't understand why Namor didn't just kill all of them when he killed Shuri's mother. I don't understand that.
Because his goal wasn't to kill them all.
And
His
then
goal was to make Shuri the princess. I
and
mean,
then
Shuri the queen.
I still don't understand why he conceded like a bitch at the end of the movie.
He literally explained why at the end of the movie.
I know he wants to do it for his people, but
No,
still,
Which
it's
is
because he
what his
wins either
entire
way.
goal is the
He
entire
wins either
movie.
way.
but then that means that our beginning
Look,
became the end,
He doesn't ally. He doesn't ally with Wakanda. He can easily overpower and destroy Wakanda.
and
He,
then he lost.
he didn't
He didn't
lose.
lose to
He
Wakanda. He
conceded.
lost to
Consistently lost.
Shuri.
He still lost.
I mean, not really.
He he,
Because
he lost.
he knows
If
that
Namor didn't
America's gonna be
yield, the
coming for
Wakandans on the
Wakanda,
ship
but
would have died.
died. Done.
And then if
Dunzo.
Shuri did kill Namor, then the rest of T'Challa kind of rises up and destroys Wakanda. But I think he's being smart by allying with Wakanda. He'd now have the two most powerful nations on the Earth teaming up. That puts him closer to his goal of keeping
He's
Wakanda
thinking, bro.
safe.
He's beating them at their own game. Like, do you not see this? He's smart.
I guess
I
that
don't.
is true.
I think the third act was better than the first film, but I do think that it was pretty
In terms
smart.
of like, I don't know, cause I really like
Scale.
I don't essentially like the Killmonger versus T'Challa fight because like it just kind of looks bad.
I found this
I mean,
fight to
this
be
one
But
better
didn't
no,
do
though.
that
this
much.
fight
It didn't do that
Thematically,
much better.
yeah, this one
I'm talking about CGI wise. Did
visually
not
was
do
better, but
much
I don't
better.
know. I like the Killmonger top shot, but this one, it was really good. Like the Black Panther has risen up. Shuri's leading
loved
her
it.
people. We're outsmarting Namor. I really
Loved
like
it,
that.
man.
It's not very often that you notice like bad CGI in the theater, but I actually like no joke noticed it when I was watching it. The first thing I saw, I think it was Namor was doing like a backflip, but he did a backflip over the water, and oh my god, it just gave me Black Widow flashbacks.
I didn't see any
Oh,
bad CGI unless we're talking about Shuri in that suit, but that water suit. But that's about it. That's the only bad CGI I've seen, and
I didn't really
that
notice any
was
bad
small.
CGI at all.
I didn't notice anything of it. But like what I was
Just
saying
a
was that
nitpick, but still.
I thought this fight with Namor and Shuri was a lot better and meant more actually than Killmonger and T'Challa. But that's just me though. I found it because we were with Shuri and Namor for the entire movie, whereas Killmonger didn't come into play with T'Challa until like an hour into the movie. So I felt like because we were with this character for the first 30 minutes and all the way to the end of the movie, I was like, well, this conflict makes sense. I like this conflict. I like the way that it's resolving here. So I thought this fight was a lot better. What I do have a nitpick with is the fact that the fight is on a beach and they're surrounded by water. Namor can just fly into the water if he needs it, since he's dehydrated. Like I don't understand like why he couldn't do that. Jonathan, you told me today that he just needed we just needed a movie, but
Yeah,
it's
like
like
that's one of the moments I'll agree. Like they could like visually, I thought it was really cool. Like I thought the
now
fight
when
on the beach was really cool.
exactly when I
But
first
like
saw
I
the movie,
guess
I
like
didn't think that at
it
all.
is kind of a what if. Like you can be like, well, who's to say sure would have allowed him to get to the water? But Yeah, I don't know. I guess they
But
could have done it better, but it didn't bother me that much because I was still so enthralled by the fight.
yeah, it because thematically it made sense why
Yeah,
they were fighting. It just my
place where the land and the water
he killed
meets.
the queen. Yeah, she he killed the queen.
Yeah,
But I thought that was all just so great, man. The fact that he saw that Shuri allied with him, but knew that she wasn't gonna be able to act on it because she was the princess, and he knew that the queen didn't really ally with him as much as Shuri did. He kills the queen to make Shuri the queen. I thought that was so
I think in
interesting,
the end
bro.
of the movie, Namor win. I
Namor won.
Namor's
Killmonger won.
Killmonger
The
won,
villains
Namor
win in
won,
these movies.
and
Such
yeah,
powerful,
a really good third
thematic,
act.
rich stuff, man.
Beautiful third act.
Love it. It all of it, bro. This this movie's good. I can't really lie, man. I love this movie, bro. But I think we should wrap it up from here. Let's move into our phase 4 conclusion because this is the
I mean,
the last movie of phase 4. We do have Guardians of the Galaxy, which a lot of people forget. That's the epilogue to phase 4. Like this is not the end of phase 4. We still got one more project in like next
I
week.
don't know. Phase
But
four is like it's like kind of even call it its own phase. Like everything is
yeah,
so
we're
wildly
gonna
different from
rank
each
the
other
phases
and
too.
experimental. Like this doesn't even
Yeah,
feel like it kind of feels like they were like, okay, the next movies they're about to start building into Kang, multiverse stuff. We just kind of need to end it here. It's like as
yeah.
overall as ending the phase, it's very inconclusive in terms of like because like what was the grand scale of this phase?
Experimental. Let's just throw stuff at the wall, see what sticks. We're trying out some new Disney Plus shows. They still haven't
So
cracked
let's be
TV
up
yet.
until multiverse of madness really. We were all just kind of wondering, all right, what is the point of this phase?
Yeah.
Like where is it going to?
I
And
still don't
frankly,
know.
I've been fatigued, bruh. I didn't get fatigued. Like, look, it's not. I'm not saying Moon Knight was terrible. I didn't get fatigued until Moon Knight ended. And maybe it's because I got COVID and Moon Knight ended around the time that Multiverse of Madness was coming out, and then COVID and stuff like that. I maybe that's because of me, but I just felt fatigued by the time Moon Knight ended. And then hearing that Miss Marvel's gonna come out in the next 2 months, we got Thor: Love and Thunder, then we got She-Hulk, 9 episodes. I Am Groot, Werewolf by Night's coming. I'm like,
It's just my
man, I'm
main
kind of
problem is
more
this
excited for DC.
no, that's funny. None of this stuff was just it was just so inconclusive.
Mm.
Like me, really love Moon Knight. I loved a lot of the projects in this phase.
Eternals, interesting. Liked it. Really, really liked it. Black Widow, I love that movie,
But
honestly.
what made this phase just severely lack was that there was no stakes. There was nothing it was building up to. All the previous phases have been building up to something, whether it be Loki, Thanos, Civil War, Endgame. They all build up to something, and you can see that in almost each of the movies, aside from one or two. Where you're like, okay, I see where this is going. I'm excited for where it is going. Phase 4 did not have that. It was mainly just them seeing, all right, we're gonna throw a bunch of stuff at the wall. Let's see what sticks. Let's see what people like. And like I said, that I've been
Right.
saying since the beginning of the phase, it's really just a filler phase to get us in between, coming off of Endgame and
Yes.
figuring out what to do next.
Thank God that was the last one. That we can
We still got
finally
to.
begin something great. Hopefully,
Yeah,
if phase five doesn't flop either. But I want to talk about Okoye. Um, just
a
more characters.
koi,
Yeah,
a
Cool, yeah.
koye. You mean?
Okoye. Okay. Um, um,
What about her?
I think Okoye in this movie was pretty much the same as the last. She's kind of like comedic relief, more so comedic
Mm,
relief in this one. And dude, I'm telling you, that fucking colonizer stuff, like I sat through the straightest face ever. That was the most unfunny stuff I've ever seen, but that's just me personally. Um,
yeah, that must be just you personally, because I thought that was hilarious.
I mean, it wasn't funny. Also, because it doesn't make sense.
What do you
Because
mean? It makes
the
perfect sense
Wakandans,
from
no,
Okoye.
no, no,
Okoye's never liked
the
Ross.
no, like the Wakandans call people colonizers, but like the Wakandans colonized as well.
No, they didn't.
Out of the four
What
tribes,
colonies
they
have you
did. The
seen
four
Wakanda?
tribes,
No,
the four tribes,
no.
they
The black,
colonized the other
no, that's not
tribes.
what colonization is.
That is
The
definitely
Black
what
Panther,
that
he just
is.
became king and he united the tribes. That is
No,
not the same as European colonization of the Americas and West Indies.
pretty much the same thing.
And it makes sense for Wakanda to be apprehensive towards white people, not even out of like a sense of racism. It's just for their whole country for however many thousands of years they were closed off to protect their country because the world wars were going on, and it's hard not to attribute that as a Wakandan to white people.
Slavery
So
was going on. We saw it in the first Black Panther movie. They
yeah,
shut
so
their
it makes sense
they
for the
shut
joke.
their country off.
It would be different. It was someone like
I just thought it
Riri,
was
college
unfunny.
student, being like, "Oh yeah, colonizer in handcuffs." But now that you have it coming from Okoye, I thought it makes sense. And while she was funnier in this movie, which I thought was a positive, I feel like she had one of the most emotional scenes in the movie with the throne
Yeah,
scene.
with the Queen,
With,
bro. That is the most dramatic, emotional, best speech inside of the entire MCU.
I don't know
Well,
about
had
that,
me.
but one of the best.
It gave me chills. It gave me chills though.
The
I
Queen
loved it.
was honestly such a highlight. Her freaking acting is
Angela
so
Bassett,
good,
man.
man.
As a veteran actor, bro,
And it's
she's been in
actually
the game for
upsetting
years.
because she didn't even get to fulfill she didn't even get to be in the entire movie. I just feel like her death was just it was just a you're gonna hate me for this, but I feel like it was just a plot device, and that's it. I wanted to see her do a lot more because she's a very, very interesting character that I didn't really pay attention to enough in the first movie.
But I feel like it made sense. Well, to me, it
It
made
totally
sense
I mean,
makes
because
sense.
yeah,
It
it was
totally
a
T'Challa
makes
plot
sense. You're
device.
right.
I mean,
T'Challa
most everything
became
is this movie is a plot device. Like it
yeah,
exists to
but
serve the
like
plot.
but there was no way that they couldn't have made anything a plot device because they lost their main character. But T'Chaka died in the Civil War, which thrusted T'Challa into being king,
Yeah,
just like that.
and Shuri's story
I think it
parallels
made all
T'Challa's,
the
which I
right
think
sense
was the
to
whole point
give
of the movie.
exactly to
She
give
almost dies in
Shuri
the
that
exact
exact same
same
character
way
arc.
that T'Chaka did die. Basically, the exact same way. Like
Yep,
same the way it was framed and everything. So yeah,
Shuri
while
legit has the
like
same
it
exact
sucks
character
that
arc as
she did
T'Challa.
die, but it all existed to bring us closer to Shuri, which was a character a
Yep.
lot of people really didn't like. Like before
Well,
Black Panther 2 came out, like who really said, "Oh yeah, I really like Shuri."
And
No.
even with behind the scenes stuff with Letitia Wright and vaccines and stuff like that, I was going into this movie saying like, bro, if she messes this up, like it's gonna be so disrespectful. She did her thing. Incredible, incredible acting. Angela Bassett, incredible acting. The
yeah.
performances in this movie are phenomenal.
And
Also M'Baku.
one of the
Lupita
things
Nyong'o
I
M'Baku.
as
don't under
Nakia,
M'Baku was
oh
phenomenal.
so
yeah,
good.
M'Baku was
I
great.
love M'Baku.
Yeah, and it's so great that he's the king now.
Yeah, I'm glad, and he's the like older brother figure to Shuri now. Like when he said he
Yeah,
promises her brother that she would counsel him, I really like that. It was just
yeah,
sweet. I like M'Baku.
yeah, and rounding out the characters, we might as well talk about a little bit about Nakia. She didn't really do much. I really wished
Thing.
I would have saw
I'm
her get
so
more into the
depressed.
action. Um, I actually wish that she would have taken the heart shaped herb. Like,
Yes, bro. She the
why would
Black Panther?
Shuri
I don't
why
understand.
why would Shuri take the heart shaped herb? Someone who knows that she can't fight and that her place is in the lab and that she doesn't even believe in the spiritual crap. Why wouldn't she give it to Nakia, who's right there, who's a fighter and a spy, who single handedly saved the princess and Wakanda once again? Why did she not give that to her?
I think it's mainly a
So
matter
we can
of
have a movie.
ascendancy.
So we can have a movie.
No, I think
Yep.
it's really about
So we can have a movie.
because like she's the princess, and usually the queen or king is the protector of Wakanda. And
Yeah.
now that her mother died, that makes her queen, like unofficially. So I don't know. It makes sense. I mean, yeah, everyone would have liked to see Nakia, but I feel like you get a more emotional and endearing story with it being Shuri.
Yeah. But you also bring up a lot of problems though. But
Yeah.
yeah, I thought Nakia, she again, she was great. Beautiful, beautiful actress, man. Looked great in this movie. T'Challa, Prince T'Challa. T'Challa has a son. It seems like every Avenger has a son, or a child. But
Or
this
a
is gonna wrap
or
it
a
up
woman
for
equivalent
this
now.
story. Yep, it's,
Every single main Avenger has one
T'Challa
now.
has a son. Yep.
I mean, I feel like we
But you know
predicted
what?
this, to be honest.
We did. Honestly, I think we did. I think Jonathan, I think we said this like 2 years ago. he's gonna have a son or something like that, and we said like we didn't want him to just have a secret son or something. I don't remember what we said, but I know we said something along those lines. Um,
But like
but
I,
yeah,
I totally understand why he exists and why they wanted him to to exist in the movie.
looking
But
back, if you want to end the movie on a high note, that's how you end the movie off. That was
yeah,
beautiful high note. We didn't even need like a post credit scene teasing the next movie, when the next Black Panther movie is gonna happen, what's the next MCU movie. We didn't need that. The fact that we ended off on Prince T'Challa, son of King T'Challa, beautiful, bro. Like it just me thinking about it gives me chills, and it's just so emotional. And you can tell it was just a send off to Chadwick. I don't think Chadwick had any children. It was such a beautiful, beautiful scene, man. I loved it.
Yeah,
It's
nice.
so good. But anyway, yeah, that's all I have to really say about that scene. It just made actually no. Why didn't T'Challa tell Shuri that he had a son? But that's just it. Yeah, that's it. That's
yeah.
all I need to
So
say.
I feel like it
It's
was
just so
like one
weird.
of the last written things after. I feel like it was probably one of the final things that they wrote, and obviously the script was extremely rushed
Yeah, I feel
because
like if he
they were
didn't
pressed
die,
for
I don't think
time.
he would have had a son. I really think that moment was just added on as like
Yeah, that was
for the
100% just added
fans.
on. But it
Yeah,
was great.
it
It
was
was
great.
so
Yeah.
great.
Yeah. I actually got well, no, I'm not gonna talk about it. But anyway, yeah, those are really my thoughts about the movie, bro. We're gonna move right into the conclusion to wrap this whole thing up. Uh, Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, such a triumphant film. I loved seeing the Black Panther
Ultimately, I
again.
don't know if I could put it above No Way Home because
Oh, for sure. Yeah, no,
No Way
no.
Home it just had that excitement, that hype going into it, that theater
But
experience.
but
The
we're
but I feel like
I
Black
was gonna
Panther 2
say we
is
can.
just as good as it.
I was gonna say we can get into that, in a later video with Phase 4 ranking. If
Yeah,
we can do
beautiful,
that.
beautiful.
Um, Exactly, like you just said, beautiful movie, triumphant return of the Black Panther. It's an amazing story about how we, as the audience, deal with grief, how Ryan Coogler dealt with grief, how the cast dealt with grief, but also how the characters inside of the movie dealt with grief, and how does a country move forward with the with grieving? How does a country grieving together move forward? That's such thought provoking stuff that only Ryan Coogler can do, man. I'm so sick and tired of things like Thor: Love and Thunder coming out, Doctor Strange: Multiverse of Madness, Ms. Marvel, She-Hulk. There's no reason why they shouldn't make a Black Panther Wakanda Forever every time. There's no reason why the MCU should not be making out a Black Panther or a Black Panther Wakanda Forever every time. This is I love seeing this thematic rich stuff, bro. I love it.
It's pretty clear why.
Welcome back to the regular podcast. Is anything but Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, a sequel that's been in development for 2 years now, has finally come out. With the tragic passing of Chadwick Boseman, this movie was dealt a bad hand, but it's finally out. So we're here to talk about it here on the regular podcast. Initial thoughts, starting it off. What you guys think of the movie coming out of it?
I thought
Coming
it
out
was
of
really
it,
good. I thought it was really good.
coming out of it, this movie I thought was great, but after some nice reflection, this movie's okay.
Mm,
Mm-hmm.
right. Now
That's my initial
coming
thought.
out of it, I thought it was really good. But in my mind, I couldn't. I was thinking like, is this better than Spider-Man: No Way Home? And I had to think about it because it was a really good movie, but I don't feel like it gave me that same oomph
Mm-hmm.
that No Way Home did in terms of like excitement and hype.
I can see that. When I first came out of it, I was like, I like that. I really, really, really like that. But after the next day rolled around, I was like, I love this. I I gotta say, I love Wakanda Forever. Now, I wouldn't say I loved it better than the first film, but honestly, I really love this movie. But let's move right into the story, guys. They had an impossible task to make this movie anyway. So the story, I mean, I can't really make much of the story, to be honest with you.
I mean, to
I
be
think
honest,
the
it's a very
story
simple
is
story.
mediocre.
Welcome back to the regular podcast. Is anything but Black